¿Qué onda, primos y primas, and welcome back to my Primos podcast. My name is Freddy, and tonight, along with me as always, is my primo and yours, el primo Chicume, el primo Siete, primo
Ulises.
Ulises, Walter with a hard G, my primo and yours, Walter. Say hi to everybody, Walter.
Hello, peeps. And then, in addition,
And then, yeah, that's I mean, push that aside. We are, honored guest. You know, another blessing of having this medium to work with when it comes to talking to people, and the fact that they're all locked in by law now.
Yeah.
You know, it's easier to nail people down. Exactly, keep them down.
And I know you're home.
I know you're home.
So we're like the como testigos de Jehová when they come and knocking on your door.
Yeah, they're like, we know you're home.
Hey, I know you're there, man.
But I have the pleasure of introducing, of course, Mr. Javier Hernandez, creator of El Muerto. He is here visiting with us today. We're going to be kind of gushing over him. Of course, like I'm a huge fanboy of his. But Javier, thank you for coming on the show, and just I guess greet all the listeners.
Hey, well, thank you, Freddie and Walter, having me back. And yes, hello, listeners. Good to be back here on the show for I think a third time. I always feel, you guys are called the Primos podcast. Yeah. I feel like I'm at the dinner table hanging out with my younger primos. So, cool. And we're at a safe 2,000 mile social distance from LA.
2,000 miles. 2,000 miles.
We're good. Yeah. We got the CDC guidelines here. Yeah.
Thought about wearing the mask as a semblance of, we're all in here. Let's wear a mask. But no, I think digitally we're okay. It hasn't jumped to the internet yet. At least there's other viruses we got to worry about, but not that one. But
you know what? That's a sci-fi story I should do where a biological virus mutates digitally. It's probably been done, but damn.
There though, man. There's something there. Walter has a whole conversation we've discussed about how he believes we're in a simulation. So that's a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
it's already been out. But I don't know. Like it's weird how. I forget last time I forget. Oh, fue la panadería aquí a la vuelta de la esquina, and I remember I was checking for my mask, but then I was like, I don't know if you ever seen those a very utopian sci-fi future movies where people there's ridiculous things happening in the world and everybody's cool with it, and we're living that right now. You get your mask, you gotta avoid murder hornets. And like I say, there's a bunch of things going on, but it's we're in the future, man. We're
living that future now. Yeah. Well, before we get into it, Primos, just thank you for, of course, listening to us here week by week. You can follow us at My Primos Podcast on all social media, and of course, all the streaming and podcast services around the globe. And we want to just kind of, first thing I always do is just catch up. Javier, since you're the guest and I haven't heard from you in months, we talked pre-COVID. Now we are here post-COVID. Well, in COVID.
No, mid-COVID.
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 Tell us, man, what have you been up to for so many months? Tell us, fill me in.
Well, you know what? I'm sure your listeners, and you guys have probably heard from artists, creative people, and I'm going to say the same thing. In a way, we're always at our table anyway, in our studio, wherever we work. Independent artists for the most part. We're kind of always working at home anyway. Yeah. So in that way, it's not a huge change. In my particular case, I also teach. So the listeners know, I'm a teacher. I teach comic book and cartooning classes. I'm an independent contractor, so I don't work full time at a school. But so I had 3 teaching gigs. I'm here in Los Angeles, so LA Unified School District shut down, so that affected one of my teaching jobs, and then our library system shut down, which I'm sure it did all over the country.
Yeah,
so I was teaching a class, right? Yeah, and then I was teaching at a middle school, not too far from where I live in my hometown, and of course that shut down. So, yeah, that kind of dried up temporarily until that gets all back up and running again. So that was a change because I probably lost about, between commuting and everything, it was probably 10 hours a week because it was just 3 classes, 1-hour classes. But yeah, that's a weekly income. But, independent artist, I sell my books on the internet and stuff like that. So it's been kind of a little change, but then kind of a big change, and it's more like stress and anxiety as far as
a lot of the cons canceled, right?
Like, oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that was the other revenue stream.
And a lot of them are still pending, right? At this moment, a lot of them are still up in the air, right? Whatever follows after this, yeah.
No, I had forgotten there was another revenue stream. Like, oh yeah, the shows. Yeah, I know I didn't do at least about probably 4 or 5 shows, and also, again, this is not we're not complaining because we do. I know there's people that don't. No. We can get into that later. We understand why you got to shut things down right in the beginning, and then figure out what opens up. So I was going to go to Louisiana State University to do a lecture there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the instructor, professor there, Stefan Endes, he's really cool. He's like, yeah, let's wait to see what happens in either the fall or the spring, but I definitely want you back. So, and I had another speaking engagement that also got postponed. So, like I said, other people lost their full-time job. Yeah. I lost these independent freelance gigs that, were just part of my working job. So,
can I ask though, and I'm curious because you've always been, since from what I know about you and what you've shared with us on previous shows and just with us personally, you've always been on that hustle on your own, right? You've always had that motor in you that are taking care of business without having to rely on someone else. Don't get me wrong, there's camaraderie, right? And right, but you always said just go do it, do you. Do you think having that already in you, that motor already running, so when this shit hit the fan and everybody else had to scramble and go, oh shit, what do I do? That hustle didn't stop. I mean, yeah, revenue got cut off, but that still motivated you to keep yourself going? Like, you felt a hit, I'm guessing, financially, but did it stop you from what you usually were doing anyways?
No, because if anything, when I got more hours in a week to sit down and draw, write, and stuff. But yeah, I like the word the hustle because I've heard that before, not just for me, for any independent artist. Yeah, we're always hustling. There's times where it works out where there's no summer school classes for me. So I have a long, dry summer as an instructor, but there's more summer conventions. But like Walter brought up, right now there's no convention, there's no, for me, out here in California, LA, no teaching. So, but what that does, it's, okay, let me keep working, use the rest of the extra hours to work even more. And I even started a YouTube channel, which I've always wanted to do. Again, I got more time.
Are you a cooking one or what?
Yeah. Like with that'd be interesting.
I'm cleaning, vacuuming. I heard that people do these super channels. That's crazy.
Makeup tutorial, vacuum tutorial.
Cooking dead animals with El Muerto.
I mean, that's true.
Biting my nails because I'm all nervioso and stuff. Pero it's Los Comics TV, and Los Comics is my publishing imprint. So LCTV, and I just talk. What do I talk about? The comics. I talk about my comics, like just talk about the history of this or that one. I do drawing demos, or geek out. I love to geek out, and then I always like to show and tell. Like, so I did this unboxing video series. I did 3 episodes where I had like 50 books I ordered from Japan and across the U.S. Manga. Go Nagai, the guy who does Devilman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been doing stuff like that. So
I saw you were like posting a lot of Devilman stuff, and like that. It kind of goes hand in hand with your style, like kind of like that, just like grittiness to it. And the manga style is black and white, and then you have the manga muerto connection, right. It all correlates, so it kind of fits what you're into. That's cool.
Like, I've always wanted to do some type of video series where it's just kind of like, well, we all got bookshelves. It's just like, okay, let me just go to this bookshelf and pull out a chunk of the books I got, and let me just look through them on the camera and just tell people, hey, check this out. Here's this, and talk about the artist. So that's what my channel's about. The one thing that's probably different about I shouldn't say that because there's probably thousands of people out there. On my video, you never see my face. It's not that I'm shy. I'm all over the social networks. But I have the camera facing down on my tabletop. So I just start filming. You see my 2 hands all the time. But all the audience sees, and what they should see, I think, is the visual. They see what I'm drawing, They see all the books I'm going through, the comics I'm flipping through, the artwork I'm showing, and I just talk. I do about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and so yeah, it was intentionally just look at the product. Don't worry about my big brown beautiful face.
So you're like one of those like shopping channels. They just see your hands.
Yes,
there you go.
QVC.
Like QVC, and then you just go like.
Yep.
Man, you're gonna have a career.
I gotta get a manicure.
In hand.
Yeah, you should get a manicure. Get manicure.
A hand model. I gotta get a manicure and a Rolex to show off.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Manicure and a Rolex. Yeah, but then man, people will be like, man, the dead man's making money. Got that Rolex on.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing flashy on this guy. No rings, no bracelets.
No, man.
Look at my book. Just look at my book.
Friendship bracelet, mejor. Yeah. But that's cool. YouTube channel is great. Like, we've never dived into that avenue. You know, we've thought about it.
We've talked about it, right? Like, we've kind of pondered it.
We've thought about it. It's not like it's something that I haven't dabbled in my own side. Like, I've messed with stuff in the past, you know. And
right.
But that's cool. You just kind of said, you know what? I got to do it. Now I have an extra 10 hours a week. I got to jump in and do something.
Right. I mean, but if Javier's doing his hands, we're gonna have to do our feet, right? Like
you're opening up to a whole different what is that?
Oh, we can definitely get the foot fetish people on there, man.
Yep.
Shoot, actually, let's do it. Okay.
Or the there's a whole Warachi. There's a whole Warachi foot fetish club or chancla fetish.
Chancla fetish thing, dude.
I have hairy feet though, so.
Hey man, all I know is that there's something for everybody in the internet and in the world, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's weird.
It's weird. You can fall down a different rabbit hole, and yeah. But you know, for us here, I had a wedding yesterday, mid-COVID.
A wedding?
A wedding. I
A
went
wedding?
to a wedding.
Oh.
So check this out.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, he got obviously he planned it a year ago. He's gonna get married, and then I asked him, "Hey man, your wedding's coming up. Is this still happening? Like, is this a conference call wedding? I mean, how are we doing this? A Zoom wedding?" But what's funny was he's like, "Well, our registry's online, so you don't have to worry about going to a store." And I'm like, "Okay, so at least that's that." But no, hey, we're gonna have a small number of people. We need RSVPs. Cool. I ended up going with my son. My wife couldn't go. Just kind of, she wasn't comfortable with the scene, with the health and everything.
Yeah.
But 15, 16 people maybe, including the staff that worked there. They rented a little, like a little ballroom, a very small group. It was just obviously very, very close family and us. We're good friends with them. And it was interesting. I thought I was going to be kind of the weird guy with the mask, but only like 3 or 4 people weren't wearing a mask. Everybody was wearing a mask and gloves. I wasn't wearing gloves, but everybody was very cautious. There was space between seats. Right. Everybody was seated apart. Everybody just kept to themselves, ate. The bride and groom walked to every table and just kind of greeted everybody. Like, it was nice because you had your one-on-one time with the couple. Right. It was intimate because everybody was so far apart from each other. You gave them their congratulations. Everybody kept their distance. And it was just very, like you said, it's like, this is the world we're in now. That it's just so, this is something you're going to have to get used to. And it's a trip. I never thought I'd go to a wedding like that. And I know these people. I'm talking like my kid and his kid grew up together. Like, we've known each other 10+ years. I know them. But we're very cautious. And I went to a wedding and it was good. It was fun. The dancing was weird. Because everybody's kind of like the long dancing from, it was funny in a way, but give or take, I don't know, have you guys had any weird New World Order kind of changes now with COVID? Have you had to deal with?
I try to avoid any, the family, when the family wants to get together, like, well, today was Father's Day, so, hey, we got to go see Dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, everybody mask up because the guy's 92 and everything, and Mom's up there. But yeah, no. So I get anxious. When I said I get nervous and anxious. I get anxious about that type of stuff. Like, yeah, they got to see the dad. I get that, but it's like,
because the whole Latino thing is, nah, we're fine. I don't got it. You're good. Like, don't, like, I'm not gonna worry about it. But is it? I don't know how you feel. I mean, I feel some way about it. I mean, hey, come on, I asked you, do me a solid, just do it, be cool. But then some just refuse to, like, that I'm overreacting. What are you guys' thoughts?
I speak my mind. You don't have to yell at people or use bad language, but hey, guys, it's this way because of this and his situation and whatever. That I got to speak my mind. So I just put that out there.
Yeah. Walter?
I mean, I'm just not visiting anybody. I mean, just keep it
Yeah.
simple for now. Like
Right,
I miss you, but not that much. So I ain't gotta go see you. So there's many different ways. I can send a letter. I can call you. I can see you. Much of other stuff. So
No, but it's just a trip
yeah.
how
So
there's
I'm
still that divide, right? Like there's still people stomping on the ground that this is unnecessary, that a mask is
Oh my gosh.
unnecessary, that I don't need to keep my distance, and all this junk, right? And it's just crazy that the reason I even bring it up is because I'm like, wow, like it's like everyone can't be wrong. You know, there's the whole thing where I use my.
okay. I mean, we can be wrong, put it that way, but like, es una pinche máscara, nomás póntela en el hocico ya, like, you know, like it's like put the damn thing on and like, you know, shit. Some people in God just cause in case they don't want to be wrong. So, I don't know, man. Like, it's just ridiculous, and a lot of it is driven by the whole. You know, all this rhetoric about, hey, it's a virus in Wuhan, and they're comparing it to Resident Evil type stuff, you know, like it got released, y que no sé qué chingado. So, I don't know, just a lot of fucking, just don't go to a convention, a Comic-Con on a boat, on a cruise, you'll be good.
True. But I think it's a hotbed.
Hey, Freddie.
What's up, man?
Well, I was curious about the wedding, and don't tell us the person's name or their, you know, who they are in relationship. But you said only 3 people didn't wear masks.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, was it like the staff or was it certain family members? Again, don't identify them, but I'm just curious.
No. It was, from what I understand, and it was just, this is the weird thing. It was older people on the family side.
Wow.
On the family side. But one of them had the mask in their hands. So I'm like Walter says, right? Maybe just in case someone coughs.
No. He's a dick, but he doesn't want people to think he's a dick. You know, that's why he just had it in his hand.
He'll wave it up. Look, I got it. He'll wave it.
The other 2 didn't care.
No, it's funny because you know, when we walk up to the venue, right, and it's a girl standing outside and she has a device in her hand. I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna take my temperature. That's what I'm thinking, right? No, but it's a camera. I'm like, oh no, you're taking a picture. She goes, yeah, I'm gonna take a picture, and I go, but we're all wearing masks, and she's like, I know. I still have to take your picture. And we're like, okay, so all in masks,
that's funny.
Taking pictures, and we're like, we'll remember this as that kind of wedding. You know, it's gonna be a time capsule. But I said I was almost ready. I was more surprised on a camera than I would have been a thermometer. That's what I'm at now.
Exactly.
That's crazy because, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like we've become very comfortable with, like, you know, future utopic sci-fi scenarios that we always kind of, you know, portray and get, you know, our artists create, like yourself, and or like, what's it called, that like Blade Runner, all that type of really like dark, you know, shit.
Right.
And we're here now, and you know, we immediately fall into line, which is good but scary at the same time, you know, in terms of keeping like societal order, you know.
But, you know,
staying civil.
I know,
but it's scary too that we just fall in line as well, you know.
Well, on that, I had a friend I used to work with years ago, and he was one of these guys that would have hung out with Walter, big into conspiracy theory, militant dude, black guy. It's just like, man, the government's out to get us. You know, they put stuff in our water, which they do, and
well, it turns out they are to get us.
They are. It turns out he was right.
Yeah.
But he had a theory that the reason why we're complacent is because of all the movies we watch, that the government, you know, how Terminator has Skynet, is because Skynet actually does exist. It's a real company. It's a telecommunications company. And Skynet really exists. And saying we're complacent with Skynet existing because of Terminator movies. We're thinking, it's fake, and Arnold's going to show up and save us, right? That we've been brainwashed to believe that all these things are going to happen for a while, and then someone's going to come along and save us. And so the government's we've been over and over again, like brainwashed to believe that, and they're doing it on purpose because they'll say, you know what would happen if we, the government, decided to release this thing into the wild? What would happen? Well, let's make a movie out of it, see how the crowd reacts to it. It becomes so normal that then when it really happens, they don't really freak out about it. And it's like, okay, man, you're reaching. But do you now he's like, it makes me feel like maybe he had a little bit of truth. Is there really something there? Are we so traumatized?
What are you doing, Javier? You're about to put on your bullshit shades or what?
No, I'm Roddy Piper from They Live.
Oh, They Live. There it is, man.
Put the shade. Now I see the truth. I see.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
They Live. I love that freaking movie. God, it's so fun. I love those campy movies though. Like you go back and you look at them, you're like, oh shit, there was some. At the end of the day, you're telling it's like the product of the time, right? Like
they joke around. Roddy Piper when he was alive and Carpenter when they do interviews like recently about like, oh yeah, that movie was prophetic. It was, it was a documentary, as Carpenter says. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's interesting, but like with creative, we have that liberty where we write something, we draw something, we put something out there in the ether in the world, and it's always a product of ourselves, the environment we're in, and what's moving forward, right? And so we've talked about it before on the show where we say like we're put in a tight situation or humanity's put in a tough spot, we always become more creative, right? Like in finding solutions. At least I would hope so. But in creating art and creating, something, for example, a comic, I mean, this time and what's going on right now, has that led you towards something new, something that we can look forward to?
Like the particular time, I don't think so. I mean, just going by the timeline, like I was already working on this graphic novel, when the shutdown happened. It didn't really change anything in my head as far as the writer. It just kind of cleared up. It took off a little space off my shoulder as far as like, yeah, it sucks not working, but at the same time, okay, you know what? For a few months, I don't have to worry about making lesson plans for classes. I don't have to worry about checking in with students. And you know what? Okay, take that out of your mind. So that just frees up space, like for me, or like I said, takes a little responsibility off my back for a while. No. And then I just throw myself more into the work, whatever I was working on.
So, hey, speaking of movies, I just realized that Cuba Gooding Jr. has 2 movies about pandemics. Because I was watching one. I came across one on TV last time because you were talking about conspiracy theories, and there's this one called Daybreak where he's really young and it's just everybody's quarantined, and if you get tested and you come positive, they disappear you or something like that.
Wow.
So it's like, look it up, it's called Daybreak. And then he was also in that other one, Pandemic, the most recent one with the monkey, that they're looking for a monkey in the military, same thing. Outbreak. No, yeah, Outbreak.
Right.
No, Daybreak and Outbreak, yeah. And yeah, same thing where they disappear. So yeah, it kind of makes you think. But anyways, it just popped into my head right now. He has two pandemic movies.
Coming to sci-fi is going to be Sharkdemic.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
You know what?
That's crazy.
Don't
no,
happen.
Buckaroo Banzai was a real movie. If you guys don't know what that is, Buckaroo Banzai was a real movie, and so is Velocipaster. So if those 2 movies, yes.
Oh yes,
Velocipaster, or it is what it sounds like, a pastor that has the ability to turn into a dinosaur. Okay.
I think I saw some. Yeah.
And Buckaroo Banzai,
And then what's that other one? They have Sharktopus and Velocicuda, something like that.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Anyway, just man. I mean, we already have murder hornets, so we're working our way up.
We're getting there. We're getting there. But we're working on things. We're in this new world is making us it's just a trip. It's a trip. But Javier, we have you on the show tonight too. Of course, catching up. But you tease a little bit between us that you've been working on something for a while. Before this, in the middle of this, and now here we are. I want you to kind of take the floor, if you would, and just let us know what is next for Javier Hernandez.
Well, Javier Hernandez and hopefully a whole bunch of people pitching in. So, like I told the Primos right now, I was working on the second El Muerto graphic novel. The first one came out about 2 years ago, El Muerto Days of the Dead, which that one basically is the whole origin story of El Muerto. And so I kind of retold the earlier issues from the late 90s, early 2000s. I kind of redrew those early ones and did a new ending. So that was the first book. The second book is called Casa del Diablo, and it continues literally from the end of the first book. So the graphic novel, I'll still be working on it the rest of the year. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, it should hopefully get it out by, say, January, February. Say February, March. We'll see. In the meantime, I have the first 26 pages of that book done, which is part 1 of the book. The book's divided into part 1, part 2, and part 3 instead of chapters. So, like I've done before, I go, well, let me put out, since I'm not doing conventions, as we talked about, I haven't done a convention in 3 months, and I probably won't do any for a few more months, maybe the rest of the year, who knows. So, in a way for me to get a new product out there, engage with fans, engage with new fans, I'm doing a Kickstarter, my first one I've ever launched. I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign for Casa del Diablo Preview Edition. It's a full comic. The 26 pages are in there. It's got a nice new cover and everything. That's going to be available, and I also do a deluxe version of that where it's a different cover, the 26 pages, plus 29 pages of what we call the thumbnails, like the rough draft pages.
Okay.
So for people out there who like all this behind the scenes, quote-unquote DVD extra process work, they can get that one. And then also, and I'm sure we'll be talking about all these 3, at the same time I've been finishing up that 26 pages, I came up with this idea a few weeks ago. We mentioned already Golden Guy, Devilman. I'm a huge Devilman fan. And I've always wanted to do, like the name Devil Muerto just rolls off the tongue for me. Like, okay, I like that name. And I decided to do some sketches or just designs for, like, what would a Devil Muerto look like? Our hero Diego as maybe a possessed demon, but he's also a hybrid El Muerto demon. So anyway,
Ooh.
I started doing a bunch of drawings of this character, colored. I put them on my social networks. Color drawings, marker drawings, whatever. And I go, you know what? I'm going to put together an art book called Endiabliado. So it's a tongue twister for me still. Endiabliado. Basically means what? Possessed, I think. Yeah, demonic. So that's going to be one of the rewards in this Kickstarter. Not only do you get to pick the preview comic if that's what you want, but you can get this Endiabliado art book, which is just artwork. There's no story in it, but it's just production art. And eventually this Devil Muerto character will be showing up in the El Muerto graphic novel series. So that's just the basic gist of it. So yes, folks, Kickstarter starts Wednesday, June 24th, which might already be running by the time people hear this episode, but we'll have info, I guess, at the end of where they can find that.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we post along with you. By the time this episode launches, the Kickstarter has already gone live. We will provide us, of course, the link. We'll provide the links and everything on our social media as well for the Kickstarter for El Muerto. And we'll, of course, put things up on our social media. We'll be, of course, putting out, you can follow Javier on his social media, his website, elmuerto.com, Havzilla.com. Of course, all his social media as well will have links to get to the Kickstarter for El Muerto. And I was privy enough to read a little bit of the preview, and I'm excited. If you guys are fans of Javier and El Muerto, this is what we've all been waiting for. This is the continuation, because like El Muerto is not dead. No pun. It's like he's not dead, guys. If you follow the books, if you followed it from the beginning and where we're at, even in the last book, Diego's on a mission, and we want to see what happens to El Muerto. And I'm excited to see that this has been given that push. And, I'm a fan. I'm going to be sure to jump in there and support Javier. I hope that you listeners out there that are listening to us can give Javier that support, that following. Just push it out there. Share it, retweet it, get it out there in front of people, because it's a numbers game, guys. Let's be real, right? More people see it, more people are interested. And the Kickstarter is, so for those that don't know, it simply is you're pushing yourself out there. You have a pitch. You're putting your work on display to get the financial support from the people that want it, right? And as long as funding gets provided, there's perks involved where you're given certain little peeks at things, like Javier said. There'll be different tiers depending on what you're doing to help the project move forward. And of course, and if we get 100% funded, we have a book to look forward to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So over the last 10 years, I've been publishing 22 years, but about 10 years ago, I started doing pre-orders on my website. Like, hey guys, I got this new comic called The Coma. Go to my website, my web store, and you can pre-order it. And I've always had very low numbers on that, like low double digit, 10, 20, 30 copies. But that helps because the people pay up front and everything. So I've had this desire to do a Kickstarter for years. But man, I've had this like burning phobia of like, Kickstarter failure, public, because it's like, to me, it's all dramatic. It'd be this huge, spectacular public failure. But again, maybe because we're talking about, again, back to stay at home and all this, trying different things. I did a channel. Okay, you know what? Let's do this Kickstarter. It's not just me trying to make up for not having conventions. The fans, they're not going to conventions either. So maybe they're looking for different things. Like you said, either an old-time fan wants to keep up with El Muerto, or hopefully Kickstarters that I'm looking for is new fans who are looking for stuff. So I'm kind of using this as a convention experience, and like, hey, I got something, I'm taking it out to the people, and then conversely, the people out there, fans, can, hey, I can't go to shows, let me go online and see what's new. So
no, I mean it's a great thing, especially right now. Instead of you're going out and spending $30-$40 on a meal at some random restaurant, you're staying home, you're cooking more, you're at home, enjoy yourself a copy of the latest El Muerto book. And you're supporting the community, you're supporting representation, and you're supporting an artist. Like I definitely am excited for it. I'll be participating, and I'm excited.
Hey, for the Kickstarter, because you were saying failures because they post how much money you're getting, right? And like you can see.
Yeah.
Like,
so on the Kickstarter, the Kickstarter. So you got to come. You as the producer or whatever, you have to state your goal. What price point do I have to hit? So in my case, it's $2,000. That's exclusive for you guys. Like, of course, by the time they hear it, people will know.
Yeah, by the time this is out. So we want to make sure we hit that goal, kill it, go over it.
Yeah. And God bless everybody if when they're listening to this later in the week, if the goal has been passed. I'm like, wow.
That'd be awesome.
Anyway, so the thing with Kickstarter, the whole phobia thing, Walter, is you have to make that goal what you stated. So if I only make $1,800 by the time it's over, it didn't work, and nobody gets charged, and then you don't get it's all or nothing. There's another one, Indiegogo, where you say, hey, I want to raise $2,000, and then you do it for 30 days, and you only raise $500. Well, okay, that you get to $500. But Kickstarter is go for broke, do or die, put all the numbers on red 7 and spin that roulette wheel, baby.
Yeah, do they charge? Does Kickstarter charge you for doing it, or how?
Yeah, there's fees, nothing up front, but then whatever you get, and they tell you like when you set up the program, I'll see the percentage that they get, and then there's another percentage that goes to Amazon because Amazon owns it for processing all the credit cards, and then there's then you got to put some money aside for taxes, but that's all. Like for me, when I'm in the the application, I see all that up front. So
I didn't know about that.
And the reason why it's more popular is because it either hits or it doesn't. Like it either goes or it doesn't go. But I'm hoping that we can, at this point, like we've reached the goal or close to it, and just go support. I'm gonna be supporting it. I'm really excited. I keep saying it over and over again because I want to see the next chapter. And I'm really rooting for the story because the little preview you've given us, I'm not giving much away, but I enjoy it so far. We see a glimpse of what has happened after the last book, and I want to touch on this as far as you working on it, so separated from the last book to this one. Like I feel like you've modernized a little bit of it to take effect as of today. Especially touching on like social media and then coping with the loss of Diego. Like, is that obviously that's intentional, but like, did you consciously make that decision? Like, well, this was back in, 1990 something, and here we are, 2020, and I've revamped it once. Now we revamp it again. Is that just something you're trying to do for new readers?
So I started the comic in 1998, the very first El Muerto story, and then over the couple of years, I did like the second part of it, and then a few years later, the third part. And then I started doing other comics in between, and then I had a movie deal, El Muerto, in 2001, at least initial contact, and then that took some years to do. Then there was a movie come out. We filmed a movie in 2005, came out in 2007. Anyway, and I did other comics, The Man Swamp, The Coma. So long story short, by the time 2015 comes around, whatever, I'm like, oh man, I better get back to my original El Muerto comic.
Yeah.
So I did the fourth chapter, right? The concluding part where he's at the circus freak show. So then I had that book done, and I go, well, I got to collect the previous issues together. But then I go, you know what? When I looked at those 3 previous issues, this is Javier from '98 drawing. This is Javier from 2002. So I didn't like the artwork. It didn't match up to my then current style or quality.
Yeah.
So I had to redraw all those, which I put out in that graphic novel Days of the Dead. So the new one is just continuing from there in my modern, I don't want to say style, because I mean just my modern level of quality of art I'm doing. So hopefully I'm answering the question, but so yeah, it's just a continuation from there. And then it opens up where we find out his best friend Zach is a mess because I don't know if the audience knows. So in the Muerto story, so let me backtrack. It's about this young man, 21 years old, Diego de la Muerte, born on Day of the Dead. On his 21st birthday, he gets killed in a car accident, and then he wakes up in the Aztec land of the dead, Mictlan, in front of the god of death and the god of destiny, Mictlan Tecutli and Tezcatlipoca. Took me years to get the names pronounced correctly. Our beautiful ancient Aztec Nahuatl. So then he comes back to Earth. The gods rip his heart out. They send him back to Earth a year later for some mission, but one of the gods double crosses the other one. So Diego ends up on Earth a year later, and instead of the ability to kill people when he touches them, when he touches a dead person, they come back to life, which is a crazy power. Last time I heard a power like that, I think was Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was going there. I was like, hey man, there's a lot of connect, not to connect, a lot of dots to connect.
Pretty successful book, though.
Very successful book. Very successful book.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So the new book continues where after Diego's in this freak show in the first book and down in Mexicali, he hears but there's a curandero in Tijuana. He wants to see maybe this curandero can help him with this, because to him it's a curse. Like, I don't want to be deciding who lives, who comes back. So the new graphic novel starts. He's driving across, I don't know if people know Baja California, but there's this famous mountain highway called La Rumerosa. It runs from Mexicali into Tecate and then onto Tijuana. So Diego's driving across that rocky mountain way, and he sees this car crash down the mountain, and it's a woman. Her name is Dolores Tremosa, and Diego goes to help her, and her child's been kidnapped. That's why she was on that road trying to go find the perpetrator, and her car crashed. We'll tell you why later in the book. And so she basically says, hey, dude, she's like, she's got to get up and go, man. Her child is missing. Think of Ripley or Sarah Connor, like a badass mother, a badass woman.
Yeah,
got to save a child. They were two good models when I looked at coming up with this character. So they get in Diego's car and they drive off through the mountains trying to look for clues, whatever. And I won't tell people right now where they end up at, but it is in the preview book.
Yeah, it's exciting because me as a fan reading this, I'm going through it and I'm like, oh man, I get the vibe, because as a parent, your child missing is there's no other word to describe it. This is your only mission, is your child, and Diego is on a mission as well. Think about it. Diego's on a mission for his life, because this curse is not.
Yeah, literally.
Right, literally, this curse is that he's stuck in between. He if you follow the previous books, there's a lot of internal conflict with Diego trying to just get. He's trying to fight who he's supposed to be, that these gods have made him out to be, but he doesn't want that at all. He wants his normal life back. And so now we have this conflict between, do I look out for myself, but I'm also have someone that needs my help here. And so you have the hero, teaming up with a badass, the badass character. Like you said, that's a great correlation. If you ran into Sarah Connor or Ripley on the side of the road, I need you to help my child. And they're like, well, shit, would I or wouldn't I? And of course, we think Diego's going to. I think he can see the passion there, the love there, and he's gonna do what he does. So I'm excited, really excited. I know that there's going to be a lot of mysticism, a lot of struggle. You've always touched on the people at home in the book. You've always touched with Diego's friends, that family. You've always don't forget these guys are still dealing with a loss.
He's been gone for a year. They don't know where the hell he went. They don't even know he's back.
Yeah, so for them, they've lost this person for over a year. They're still mourning. Zach is mourning, and people are starting to move on with their lives, but he hasn't. So, and even in a way, Diego's not moving on yet, but he's moving on to the next adventure. So it's really a play on that whole moving on, and letting things go. And so I'm excited to see where we end up with this next chapter. And so I definitely want this to hit its goal, and I want to read the next chapter, and we want the Muerto to keep living. We want this to keep moving forward. So I'm really excited for that, Javier. I'm really pumped.
Thanks. Well, I got to keep living because this is graphic novel number 2, and in my little notebook here, I have a 10-volume series planned out. Like, here's a warning to people: if you're going to do a 10 graphic novel series, please do it when you're late 20s, not when you're older like me. But I got the life experience now that I didn't have for the last 20 years, so that's going to go into the book.
And you have a lot more time now because of COVID. So you're locked in, and so you're going to be working more and more. But I dig it, man. Like, I always liked your work. I always dug the grittiness of it. I love that it's black and white. I dig that it's just kind of, you're there for the story. The artwork is great too, but you're there for the story, and the black and white give it that grittiness that I like. It gives me it's always giving me the vibe of like the manga, because you touched on manga before. You've had Manga Muerto and Devil Man and things like that. I love that look. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But
I'm excited too, but I fucked up when I opened up the PDF. I scrolled to the last, like for some reason I ended up on the last page, so I saw the last page. Now I was like, fuck. I was like, I know what I did, so I didn't read any, but I immediately closed my eyes and went back up, so I wouldn't see the last page. But I was like,
hypnotize yourself to forget. I forgot what I saw.
It's like, shit. But anyway, I'm excited about what I saw on the last page. So it's kind of very ominous type. I don't know. Looks cool.
Yep.
So yeah.
With the dark cloud. Yeah.
You don't understand.
It's a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. Say no more.
Yeah, you don't I like it because we're not gonna say more because I don't want to take away from that shit moment.
The initial reaction.
That reaction.
So I already lost that. So that's why I kind of fuck. So then, but anyways.
Well, again, we're being so discreet. Yeah. There's the part where you see what Diego and the girls see, but then there's a 3-page interlude after that. Has this weird thing, like, what the hell is this? So and then it ends for the reader until they get to read the graphic novel. But hopefully, I did a nice cover for this book, and if they want to get the deluxe version where they want to get the thumbnails, that's got a different cover. Like I said, if they're interested in the Abeliado art book, if they want something with just a lot of color in it, a lot of different good imagery. But anyway, as they look through the Kickstarter, I spent hours and hours, maybe like 2 days, doing all these nice visual graphics that they could scroll through, and it tells them they're called reward levels. So like there's a $5 reward level where they just want the PDF of the whole comic. If they want just the regular comic, it's $10. If they want the deluxe one, so there's a lot of different choices in there, a lot of different combinations of things. And then I got like, there's always the super deluxe expensive ones
We get Javier
where somebody wants
come
to get
your house and you like draw a self-portrait with them. Okay, I mean that's gonna cost a few thousand. All right, everybody, get out there, make that super one happen.
It'd have to be a private jet because I ain't gonna get on no plane with people coffee y todo eso.
There you go.
But yeah, there's a lot of original art options if they want to own one of the covers to the books or whatever. So, like I said, maybe by the time they hear this, they either look through it, but if they're the first time hearing this, the information will be at the end of, I guess, whatever, on your sites and all that. So
no, definitely, we'll make sure that everything's posted. It should be on our social media by the time this goes live. But Javier, let me ask you a question, man. You know, the comic industry has always been like a fucking roulette, period. Right, period. Like, there's no guaranteed nothing in this game, right? With what's happened recently, this is getting a little like behind the curtain and inside baseball kind of thing. But like, what happened with Diamond? You know, Diamond, the distributor, and that stuff happening where they just basically shut down. Like, this is gonna be a big blow. But like we talked about, you have always self-published. You have always self-promoted, got yourself out there. Is this going to be the turning point where these guys relied too much on a distributor that kind of bites them on the butt? That guys like you that are out there hustling and pushing is going to be like, hey, this is fair game now. What do you think?
Yeah. Let me answer that with the full knowledge that I have different friends who own comic book shops. So I'm going to say this, like, assuming they'll hear this, or I would say it in front of them.
Yeah.
So there's only one distributor in comics, which is stupid, but that's nobody's fault, but the way it worked out.
Monopoly.
Yes.
It was.
It
is. Yeah.
Look, we need the comic shops. Like, the comic shops, they're great places where people buy their comics, but they're meeting places, and some comic shops do great community things where they have signings, events, team up with libraries. So, yes, all of us we all want the comic shops to come back, open up full speed, and hopefully we don't lose too many over the last 3 months. And I hope Diamond can service those comic shops, and DC is going to do their own distribution, which is a pain in the ass to the comic shop owner because the owner has to look through the Diamond catalog for all the books, but then they got to look through another catalog now to order DC comics, and I've always heard that's a pain in the ass because Marvel tried this in the 90s. Marvel tried to do their own distribution. So anyway, good luck to all the comic shops out there. We love them all, and our friends who own them. They'll work it out. They have to because they gotta keep running. So having said that, to me, it doesn't. Again, I need the comic shop because I gotta go have signings at the local comic shop. It would be very selfish, but other than that, nothing about Diamond affected me for the last almost 22 years. I only had one book go through Diamond in 2002, and it wasn't enough orders, so when I did the second book, they didn't want to carry it. Okay, fine. Don't get all mad about that. So I have not really had any books through Diamond for probably, almost 15, 20 years? So that's why I say they're not relevant to me personally. Again, hopefully the comic shops can all work it out and everything. But for me, I just sell the comics, my website, conventions, and signings at stores, or I go sell the book. I sell to store my book, or I sell at other places. I sell at Latino conventions or festivals, Day of the Dead festivals. Occasionally, you can still find a Latino bookstore. So for me, and probably a lot of people like me on my level, as far as we're like 100% indie, it doesn't really affect us. But I do need and want the comic shops still there because it's a whole part of it's part like an Americana thing too. But also, my friends own shops, and I want them to have a job, and I want a place where I can do signings.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying. Like you, and I asked you your opinion on it as far as how it's impacting you because you've always done, face to face. You've dealt with them directly. Your clientele wants your stuff. They get it. You know what I mean? Like people that want your stuff, that are hungry for Javier Hernandez stuff, get it from you, right? So it hasn't impacted you in a sense to rely on them to distribute and just send to you, right? So now it comes upon the consumer to help support the shop, or the shop being savvy enough of what's the word on the street, what's hot right now. Like they're going to be the ones having to go look for these books as opposed to knowing, well, hey, I know right now they're gonna shoot me these books, so these are guaranteed to sell, like guaranteed sales, right? And we're talking business here, but like these are guaranteed dollars in my store to help me stay open. Now it's a matter of me, the comic book owner, comic book shop owner. I'm gonna have to have. Are we gonna go back to those days of in-store visits from the artists coming in and going? More of those visits, like, hey man, and this avenue fell off. This is my book. Here's my stuff. Let's make a relationship happen. Is there more of that gonna have to happen now, or are we still gonna fall? Is someone gonna step in and take Diamond's place? And that's the scary thing. We think about, like, this big void is gonna be filled by another monopoly, or conglomerate, or whatever.
Okay, that I don't know. And when you first asked that question rhetorically, is it gonna? In my head, what I thought, I go, well, I don't want to say it out loud because it sounds rude, but I'm not being rude to you or.
No.
I'd say I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me if there's a new distributor. Like, I'm still doing what I do. I go to the shows. I go to the stores directly. If there's a distributor who's more open to indie books, lower selling indie books, I would check out their site and see what they need, see what their requirements are. But yeah, man, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, I'm a Ronin, man. A masterless samurai. I'm just getting my books out there.
Rome.
But
the thing is,
I reach out to podcasts or blogs, and hey, you want a guest on your show?
Definitely, man. That face-to-face thing, I'm thinking that, like the door-to-door salesman, like the door-to-door guy right now, business-to-business, all that stuff, like, that's going to have a resurgence, especially with comic books and in indie. Yeah, DC, Marvel are going to do their own distribution. They're going to have their own pitches and reservation model, what have you, right, when it comes to product, like pre-orders and all that. But I think that there is going to be... Here's my hope. My hope is that not one freaking company steps in and takes that place. I hope that amalgamate of different companies come in and try to do their own publishing, their own distribution, like that specialize in Latino creators or specialize in these indie comic books, specialize in this, and we have a big old mix of that to where we have multiple things going on, where we have that resurgence of people that want it, and hopefully that leads to more competition, that leads to more books being brought on, money being tossed around to people that deserve it, and like a name like yours can be used. Hey, you know what? Hey, this guy has some fan base. He's usually on his own. Let's reach out to him, see if we can bring him on. And we're talking about a real collection of people the right way, as opposed to one big old just corporate entity. You don't want Amazon to just be like, all right, we're Diamond now. I don't want that.
No, exactly. No, exactly. Well,
Latinos are cool right now. It might happen. So.
Hey, man, we've been cool at least since 1998 when I did my first book. No, but you know what? It's this. I can bring this talk back around to Kickstarter, not just my project, but because you're talking about distribution. So there's been, comic books on Kickstarter are a very vibrant, lucrative thing, I should say. I don't know what percentage of Kickstarter comics are. Probably not huge, but yeah, Kickstarter's. I've seen there's a new comic that just came out by Jim Rugg, October Brianna. Hope I pronounced it right. I backed it. He asked for 5,000. It's like a neon. It's was it neon art? What do you call those neon posters? Blacklight. You know those blacklight posters?
Yeah.
His comic is like that. It's colored in crazy blacklight neon colors. It's not true blacklight. Like, you don't need a black light bulb to read it. But anyway, he was doing a Kickstarter for 5,000. You know how much he raised? Throw out the craziest number you can think of.
$20,000.
Man, you're small time, kiddo.
Woo!
95.
Damn, why?
People, no, it's a beautiful looking book. I can't wait. I can't wait to get mine.
I'm curious now.
So the point of that is, not every book's going to do that. I'm not expecting that. I mean, but Kickstarter is a whole new venue. So like I said, I do conventions, go to comic shops, my website. I'm looking, hopefully, if I'm lucky, I can add Kickstarter to my multiple, outlets.
Yeah.
Because people look for comics on Kickstarter. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I want to get a lot of new readers too, not just my old-time wonderful friends and fans. But I've backed 66 Kickstarters. I looked at my thing. I was surprised. Damn, over the years. And think about it. I found those comics because I'm on Twitter, and some guys all, hey, look at this book, Tomato Man or whatever. You know what? Oh, I never heard of that. Yeah. And I go to Kickstarter. Hey, I'm gonna back that book. $20. I want the, you know. So a lot of people, I'm gonna assume, will be first time ever hear about me and El Muerto. So that's good. So that's a distribution outlet. They're not a. I hate when people say Kickstarter's like the #1 publisher or whatever. They're not a publisher. I'm the publisher. They're a platform, which is very big, important. But no one puts Kickstarter on the corner of their comic. You know, it's like Kickstarter comic group. Like no. But it's a venue for us creators out there, whether musicians or comics or painting, whatever, or invent a machine, whatever. Yeah. It's another outlet to, either circumvent or just reach out a whole new audience. So
no, man, I'm glad that you have that avenue, right? And that the internet, the world we're in, is allowing you to still create, is allowing you to put yourself on this platform, and that does exist. Not only this one, there's others, like you said, right? Indiegogo, what have you, that allows us as creators to put ourselves out there. Now, it is scary. It is scary as hell, because you're literally saying out there, hey, do you like me? Like, do you like me or love this idea enough?
Do you love me?
Do you love me? The Swayze in you. But, like, do you love this book, this idea enough? Or do you look at it like, man, this pitch, I have this idea in my head. This pitch is dope. Here it goes. And then it doesn't happen. Damn. That's a blow. It's a blow. But
yeah,
Javier,
positive
vibes. But I know you enough that this isn't gonna stop you from creating El Muerto. Like, this is just, you know what? Let me put myself out there, really give everything behind it that I can. But it's not gonna stop you. It's gonna make you want to go after it.
Absolutely. I've been doing it. I've been doing comics 22 years independently. You know what I mean? Under my own steam. Obviously, you have the support of people like you guys helping get the word out. Obviously, the people who buy the book, that's the only reason you're still doing it, because they're selling. But when you're a one-person operation like I am, I write and draw my own comics and publish it. Yeah, it's just this burning passion. It's very pure. It's not like an anger. It's just this pure passion, desire, that's what you want to do with your life. At least as an artist, like that's your thing.
That's the fuel for that motor, man. That fuel for that motor in you. Like, I have to use that phrase. It's that engine, that motor that just propels you to move you to get this done. And it's inspiring, man, because a lot of people don't have the balls to put themselves out there like that. Like, to even if you have a little bit of longevity, your name carries clout. You say you don't, but people consider you, like, I'm not gonna name names to put them out there, but people that are creating right now, they're telling me, like, one of my heroes was Javier Hernandez. And they're creating their own books right now. Like, my hero was Javier Hernandez. So, like, your name carries clout, and you're still putting yourself out there. You're still working. That engine propels you. And let our dollars, let our energy, our vibes, feed that engine. I'm hoping that, like I said, by the time this comes out, that we've reached that goal and then some. So that way we can really motivate you to keep going. I really do.
No, thank you, Freddie. Appreciate that. And, there's stretch goals in the campaign, so people will check out. I got at least 3 stretch goals. Like, the goal is 2,000, and then I have, like, a certain quantity. Okay, if we get this next one, then there's a new item that everybody gets. And then there's 2 other ones after that. So, yeah, everybody's support is completely important. And, I mean, this is not going to happen without people supporting it. So, I thank you guys. Anybody else who's... Thank you, sir.
No, Javier,
and but yeah, folks, check it out.
Yeah, check out Javier's work. Check out his Kickstarter, which we'll have on our website, of course, and our social media. And check out, Javier. Just give us your website. Give us where the fans can go to look up this information. Maybe your social media. Where can people find you and find this information?
Yeah, well, Instagram's, I guess, one of the very popular ones right now. So it's Javier Los Comics, JAVIERLOSCOMEX, Los Comics. My Instagram. They can go to Havzilla.com. That's like my blog. Havzilla, JAVZILLA.com. So I think those will be the two quickest ones to put out there verbally. Perfect. And then, you guys will have these linked, the other ones linked up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Walter, you've been quiet, man. You know, you've been quiet on this conversation because
I don't know anything about fucking comic book business, man. So I've been actually learning.
No, well, I mean, you're like he's been tippy-toeing into the comic verse, if you would, Javier. You know, like
I'm a new convert. Just trying to consume more and more, little by little. You know, so like I'll buy some and then I'll just put them on my right now. Ahorita ya I'll probably start consuming more comic books now, because now that I have a daughter, like I'll read it to her, like really loud and stuff, and then we'll take turns. You know, like I'll read 2 pages and then I'll give it to her, and she'll just grab it and go da 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 da. And it's like fucking adorable, you know. So then I don't know, I'll probably start consuming more and more and more now that I'm reading comic books to my daughter. So pretty cool, man. Like I'll just start. It's a new thing, but I'll make it a thing with my daughter, and she'll be a comic book consumer as she grows. For you guys.
What's crazy is Walter, like, you know Javier Hernandez. You know, like that's a thing, dude. Like within the community, Javier Hernandez, El Muerto, like that carries weight. You don't even know how good you got it right now.
I don't know. Babe, that's how things happen a lot of times, man. It's like, so, man.
Hey, Walter's still riding high from the last episode when you guys interviewed the legendary Lalo Alcaraz, man. Come on.
It's true.
Yeah, so how the fuck did that happen?
No, I want to get, we have some interviews lined up here just for the listeners as well. I know we had Lalo last week. We have Javier now. Next week, we're interviewing the guys from 5 Meats. We're going to have Rolando, and we're going to have Oscar on the show as well. Hopefully get their story, their vibe, their ideas there. They've done, Kickstarter as well. Like, this is another example of people supporting their work. They do more of like a comedy, book. It's funny, it's more adult. But definitely something to check out, guys, next week. Lalo's was great as well. And the one thing that everybody always touches back on, man, is what you told me on our last interview. You're like, everyone's always said, just do you. Do your work for you. Like, it's my book, it's my idea, my story, and stick to your guns. Like, this is what I need to do. And that's always been kind of like, I always reference back when you say that to give anybody any type of advice. Actually, people have asked me randomly, and it's not like, I'm like, me and Walter do this as, therapy. We do it as a hobby. Maybe one day we'll make some money on it. That'd be amazing, right? But like, at the end of the day, we're doing us, and I really touch back on what everybody, every advice these guys have given us, if you've given us, is just do you, and I'm hoping that you sticking to those guns, Javier, like you always have for so long, working on your book, your story, your characters, that drives us to get your goals and just get the 10 books done. I'm all ready for the 10 books, man.
Easy for him to say, Walter. He's just sitting there reading them. I got to make these things. But thank you, Freddie, man. That's awesome.
Getting high on paint fumes and whatever.
Right.
But marker.
Before we end the show, is there anything else you feel you want to tell the fans out there, the listeners out there? Please feel free. You have the floor. We always want to make sure we give our guests a moment just to, say their goodbyes or thanks. Anything you want to say? Go right ahead.
Well, again, obviously, check out the Kickstarter campaign. That's, I put so much into it. But, anyone out there, like you alluded to, anyone creative in the creative field, but definitely any young, even old Latinos who want to do something they haven't maybe done before. Maybe they want to do their first comic or their first, I don't know, rock album or whatever it is. But let's talk comics or art. I mean, just you do it because you love it. And like you guys doing this podcast because you love it. and I'm doing my comic because I love it. I was doing it back in '98 because I loved it. Was making a lot of money on it, and then lo and behold, I did an interview and I got a interest from a Hollywood, independent Hollywood people to make a film out of my comic, and we made the movie, and that was years ago. And it's like, wow, how cool! I got the movie made out of the comic, and but I was just doing the comic because I loved it, not because I wanted to get a movie out of it. And all these other things that have happened to me all these years, all the traveling and just talking to people and working with other people, and right till today, it's just because I love telling my own stories, my way, the way I want to do it. And it's great that things catch up to that. You got a movie out of this, or you got invited to speak at this university. But so that stuff changes, like the different invites, the different opportunities. But the core thing of loving what I'm doing, that doesn't change. In fact, it just gets continuously renewed and refueled, and so it's a circular motion, and it just a wheel moves forward when it's in motion. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, you have a hell of a lot of material going on in the world that we live in, so I'm sure it'll seep in. So.
Yep, absolutely. But thank you guys, and listeners, thank you for supporting the Primos here. They do a lot of work on their podcast. They're always trying to find good guests. I know these guys are huge supporters of Latino community, Latinidad. So you guys keep it real for everybody out there. And again, I really appreciate you having me on to peddle my Kickstarter. Don't let it fail, people. Support, please.
Support, guys. Definitely go for that Kickstarter. Again, look up Javier. We'll have all our links on our social media as well. Primos, from me, Javier, and Primo Walter, Chicume, Siete, Ulises.
Not to be confused with Chicharito Hernandez.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's just, I want to say thank you all for listening, and take care of each other, and let's go support this Kickstarter, guys. Good night.